A woman I'd never met put her hand on my back yesterday, in a diner, at 6 in the morning. I was crying into my coffee. Not loud, not dramatic, just leaking. Jet lag. Homesickness. The kind of crying you don't know you're doing until someone touches you and you realize you've been found out. And she didn't ask what was wrong. She didn't offer a tissue. She just kept her hand there for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then she said, "Biscuits and gravy helps. Not fixes, helps." And she walked away. I'm Australian. I've been in small-town America for 6 months. And I thought I understood friendly. I did not understand friendly. In this video, I'm taking you inside the friendliest place I've ever been. Not because it's special, but because it's not. It's a diner, a counter, 12 stools, and the people who sit there every morning at 6 a.m., who see you before you see yourself, and who have a system for kindness that doesn't look like kindness at all. It looks like breakfast. But the moment that broke me, and the reason I sat in my car for 10 minutes after I left, just breathing, is the thing that happens at stool number 3. Because that's where you realize this isn't a diner, it's a confession booth. And once you see what the man in stool 3 does, you can't unsee it, and you'll never walk into a small-town diner the same way again. Before I walked in, I asked myself what I expected. I said, friendly people. Probably some small talk. Maybe someone asks where I'm from. That's what friendly looks like in Australia. You meet someone, you chat, you find common ground, you part ways. It's pleasant. It's civil. It's surface. But here, in this diner, friendly isn't something people do. It's something they are. It's the air. It's the counter. It's the way the bell above the door rings and nobody looks up, because they already know who's coming. I sat down stool number 7, because that's where Darlene pointed. And before I could open the menu, the man on my left said, "You ain't from around here." Not a question, a statement. Like he'd smelled it. Like my Australianness had a scent. I said, "No sir, I'm from Australia." And he nodded. Like that explained everything. "You ever had biscuits and gravy?" I said no. And he looked at me like I'd said I'd never breathed. "Well, we gotta fix that." And he waved Darlene over. Not his waitress. Not his section. Just Darlene. Like she was everyone's. And he said, "Darlene, this fella needs the biscuits and gravy," and put it on my ticket. Quote. And I said, "You don't have to do that." And he said, "I know." And that was it. He didn't want thanks. He didn't want conversation. He wanted me to have the biscuits and gravy. That was the whole transaction. And I watched him for the next 20 minutes. He didn't talk to me again. He talked to the man on his left. He talked to Darlene when she poured his coffee. He talked to a teenager who came in late, looking nervous. And the man said, "Math test today." And the teenager said, "How'd you know?" And the man said, "You always look like that on test days." Quote. And I realized, this man wasn't being friendly to me. He was being friendly, period. It wasn't personal. It wasn't performative. It was just his setting, like a default, like breathing. If you're watching this and thinking, I had no idea a diner counter could say this much about a country, that's exactly why I make these videos. I don't show Americans the small-town America they expect. I show them the small-town America that actually exists. The counter America, put it on my ticket, America. The America that doesn't need a reason to be kind. If you're on the telly right now, grab your phone and search Gday America. Hit subscribe. Not for me, for the algorithm. So it shows this to the American who's forgotten their town has this, and the Australian who's never seen it. I promise the next one will surprise you even more. But the man on my left wasn't the one who broke me. Darlene was. In Australia, the barista is a professional. They make your coffee. They take your money. They might remember your order if you come every day for a year, but they don't know your name. They don't know your wife's surgery. They don't know your kids' grades. Darlene knew everyone. She knew the man in stool 3 was having a hard week because his wife was in the hospital. She knew the teenager in stool 9 had a math test and was nervous. She knew the truck driver in stool 1 had been driving all night and needed extra bacon, and she didn't just know. She acted. Extra bacon for the tired, quiet words for the worried, a free slice of pie for the kid who passed his test. I asked her, when she had a second, which she never really had, "How do you know all this?" And she looked at me like I'd asked why she had hands. "Honey, I've been pouring coffee here for 23 years. I know when someone's hurting before they do." And she moved on to the next stool, to the next story, to the next person who needed something they didn't know how to ask for. I watched this for an hour, an actual hour, and in that hour, I saw things that don't happen in Australian cafes. I saw a man lend another man $20. No IOU, no promise. Just a folded bill passed under a napkin. I saw a woman cry into her coffee because her patient didn't make it, and 3 people put their hands on her back and didn't say a word. I saw a teenager ask an old man for advice about his girlfriend, and the old man gave it, not gentle, not soft, but true. Tell her the truth, son, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts. And the teenager nodded, like he'd been given the keys to the universe, which apparently he had. And I realized, these people don't come here for the food. They come here for each other. The counter is just the excuse. The coffee is just the admission fee. The real product is proximity, is presence, is, I see you and I'm here, and we're doing this together. Quote. So I'm sitting there, at stool number 7, and I'm crying. Not the big cry, the leak, the one you don't know you're doing. And Darlene comes over, coffee pot in hand, and she doesn't ask if I want more. She just pours. Because she knows. She knows I'm not leaving yet. She knows I'm not done. And then, this is the part. The woman on my right, the one I'd never spoken to, the one in the scrubs who'd been crying earlier about her patient. She puts her hand on my back. 1, 2, 3, and she says, Biscuits and gravy helps, not fixes, helps. And she walks away. No drama, no performance, just done. Like she'd told me the weather, like she'd said it's Tuesday, like kindness was the most ordinary thing in the world. And I sat there, at that counter, surrounded by people who were strangers an hour ago, and I understood. This is the real reason small-town Americans are so friendly. It's not because they're nicer, it's not because they're better, it's because they've built a world where kindness is the default. Where, put it on my ticket, is just how you say hello. Where a hand on your back for 3 seconds is just how you say, I see you. Quote. In Australia, we're friendly too. We are. But we ask first, do you need anything? Can I help? We make kindness a question. Here, they make it a statement. They just do. Because asking puts the burden on the person who's already carrying too much. In small-town Americans, they don't ask. They just show up with biscuits, with coffee, with a hand on your back for 3 seconds. And then they walk away, because that's the whole thing. That's the real reason. I'll say it, because I've been thinking about it, and because I think it's true. Americans watching this, I know you'll say your cities are friendly too. I know you'll say New Yorkers are kind, just busy. I know you'll say LA has community, just different. And you're right, on all counts, cities have kindness. They do. But cities make kindness a choice. You choose to be friendly. You choose to help. You choose to notice. In small-town America, kindness isn't a choice. It's the setting. It's the default. It's the air. You don't choose to buy a stranger breakfast. You just do. You don't choose to put your hand on someone's back. You just reach. You don't choose to save a stool for tomorrow. You just save it. And if your kid grows up in a city where kindness is a choice, where you have to decide to be good every day against the current, then maybe a diner counter in a town of 3,000 is exactly what they need to see. Because kindness shouldn't be a choice. It should be the air you breathe. My daughter didn't ask for a diner. She didn't ask for a counter. She didn't ask for biscuits and gravy. She asked if we could move to a house with a porch. Because apparently, that's where small-town America actually lives. Not in the news. Not in the shows. In the diners. In the Fiat, put it on my ticket. In the hand on your back for 3 seconds. And in the woman who walks away like kindness is the weather. Because to her, it is. Next week I'm walking into a building I've been passing for months. A plain brick building, with a flag out front. No neon sign. Number 24-hour promise. Just a door. And inside, I found something that made me understand why the man bought me breakfast. Why Darlene saves stools. Why the counter matters. That's next.